Hello again! In this second video, we're going to take a look at the adventure phase. When playing the campaign mode, we'll play chapters where the adventure phase comes right after the cruise phase. For an adventure, we will use these components: the sheets of any playing characters and/or allies, the objects equipped in your left and right hands, whatever you've obtained during the adventure, and a coin marking who the captain is, in this case, the Avenger. In this tutorial, we have 4 characters, each of them with its own miniature. We will also use the enemy sheets of the enemies we can find. You will see that in some cases, the enemy sheets include attributes for games with 3 pirates or 4 and 5 pirates. We also have the adventure board, with a marker that indicates the current danger level in which we find ourselves, from the easy 1 to medium 2 to a difficult 3. We also have a pirate flag marker that indicates the time remaining to finish the game. This pirate flag will advance for different reasons, like exploring the map, search attempts, or problems we encounter. In this board, there are spaces reserved for the magic cards. Both the Voodoo Man and the Witch have magic cards, which are placed in those spaces when used, depending on how long it takes to have those spells available again. In addition, each player will have a quick reference card with the different actions that can be performed during the turn. Also, a configuration of map piles, as indicated in the chapter, will be used during the adventure phase. During an adventure, there is a set of tokens to be used to determine what tile to place after an exploration action. Whenever a new tile is discovered, add enemies to that tile and advance the pirate flag on the adventure board. With regard to the attributes of the players, we're going to find the following information. First, the possible objects that the character has in their left and right hands. This specific character is also equipped with a bottle of rum and some money gained during the adventure. The charisma value of that character, which will be mainly used in the port phase. The life points value. The action points to spend in different actions that we'll see later. The destiny points, which are wild cards that can be used during the adventure, for example, to add 1 point to all the results of a roll of the dice. The number of dice to be rolled in hand-to-hand combat and to attack from a distance. The attributes of strength, agility, intelligence, and perception. The strength serves especially for actions such as pushing or actions requiring strength. The agility allows us to jump or to avoid attacks of the enemies. The intelligence, which is used to aid other pirates. And finally, perception, which is used to perform searches, as we will see later. The weapon cards indicate the damage that they do and their range, in the case of ranged weapons. This icon here indicates the type of weapon, in this case a gunpowder weapon, so after shooting, turn the card to indicate that it needs to be recharged before shooting with it again. This value here indicates how many gold coins that character will receive as salary during the port phase. Finally, if the character has any starting skills, they will be indicated here. In this case, the Watcher has the aim skill, described below and in the rulebook, and in the cruise phase it also has the skill Vigilant. We're going to see how the adventure phase is played. This phase is divided into 3 rounds: the event round, the player round, and the enemy round. During the event round, we first need to check if there are no fallen characters. If there are, move the pirate flag forward in the adventure board. Also check to see if any special status have ended, such as poisoning or stunned characters. Finally, we look at the player characters' shared tiles with the enemies on the map. For example, in this situation, in which there are no enemies close to the players, in the round of events we will have to draw an event card and apply whatever the card says. In the player round, the characters are played in whatever order the player with the initiative decides. At first, it will be the captain, but at the time their character earns prestige, the initiative will go automatically to the player with the highest prestige in the game. Once it is time for a player to take their turn, you can decide to take several different actions. Let's see an example. This character has 6 action points to use in different actions, so it decides to make a move, spending an action point for every step of the way, for example, 2 steps. Then, it could spend another 2 action points to perform a jump, after overcoming a dice roll. It is a jump with a difficulty value of 4, so you have to overcome that number with the dice roll. The character has an agility value of 4, so it rolls 4 dice, succeeds, and makes the jump. After the jump, the character moves another space and is now adjacent to the mummy. To carry out an attack, characters need to spend 2 action points, both for melee and ranged attacks. In the example, we would have already spent 5 out of the 6 action points available, and the character could not attack the mummy, so it would have to spend a destiny point for 1 additional action. It then decides to use one of its swords to face the mummy, so it would roll the dice indicated by its melee attack value and would have to overcome the agility of the mummy, in this case a 3. We rolled and got 2 hits. Now is the turn for the mummy to roll defense with 4 dice, and has to overcome the agility of the hit woman, which in this case it's a 4. After rolling, the mummy gets 1 success and stabs one of the 2 impacts, so the mummy receives 2 damage points. Another possible action is to run. When you run, you duplicate your action points, so in this case we would have 12 action points to move, push, and/or jump. We could start by moving 3 spaces. Diagonal movement is allowed, provided there is no obstacle that prevents it. The character continues moving up to 5 spaces and then jumps for another 2 action points with their corresponding roll of the dice, so at this point we've spent 7 action points in total. Now we could push the hit woman to try to move her away from the enemy. Both characters would need to take a confronted strength roll of the dice, unless the hit woman allows it to happen. The push would move the hit woman to an adjacent square, and the active character would reach a hand-to-hand position with the mummy. As the character has run, it cannot attack the mummy this turn, but there are other things it could do. Pirates can fall unconscious if they deplete their life points. In this case, another character can try to revive them. To do this, you need to spend 2 action points, and there can be no adjacent enemies. Perform an intelligence roll, and if you succeed, the fallen character recovers. If you happen to get a critical success in your roll, the recovered character could even act in that same turn. But be careful, because if you fail, the character could receive permanent injuries. The characters can also perform an action to move away from an enemy when they are located in adjacent positions. Another possible action is to catch your breath. If the characters have no destiny points left, they can sacrifice their actions for 1 turn and move the pirate flag 1 position on the adventure board to recover all their destiny points. When one player decides to catch their breath, other players may take advantage of the same action to recover the destiny points because the flag will only move a single position on the board. You can also loot other characters, either fallen enemies or fallen comrades, to search and plunder their belongings. Whenever a character is located in a tile with no enemies, it can do a search action. Take a perception roll and, if it succeeds, draw a card from the search deck. Most of the objects from this deck are good, but not all of them are. In addition, if a search roll fails, advance the pirate flag 1 position on the adventure board. The only advantage of failing that die roll is that if you get a 1, you may recover 1 destiny point. When a character is in close combat with an enemy, you can spend an action point to insult the enemy and add 1 die to your defense value. Also, you will need to spend action points to recharge some weapons. As an example, if the Watcher has fired its 2 weapons, it will need to spend 3 action points to recharge each of its guns. After the character round, it's time for the enemy round. The enemies usually spawn when a character explores a new tile. To explore a new tile, the character moves to an axis to an unexplored space. draws an exploration token that will indicate which new tile must be placed. This new tile should be perfectly connected with the other tiles on the map. If for any reason you cannot place it, because it does not fit on the table or whatever, place a no exit marker there instead. That space is now blocked. Right now the tile fits, so we can connect it with the rest of the map. Every time a player explores the map, advance the pirate flag a position on the board. Depending on the adventure you're playing, the scenario indicates which enemies will spawn, and they will be placed around the exit farthest to the characters. In the example, there is only one exit, so the new enemies are placed in that space and in the adjacent ones. To know what will each enemy do, make a die roll for each one to determine their actions. In the right side of the enemy sheets, we have the actions each enemy can perform. This way, it will be harder for the players to anticipate what each enemy will do. Move each enemy character, in the order determined by the player with the initiative, until every one of the enemies present have played, moved, and attacked this turn. At the end of the enemy round, a new round of events will be played, then a character round, etc., until the game ends. To achieve victory in an adventure, the chapter itself will indicate the conditions for victory. Usually, they are requests from the Pirate Guild, like collecting or destroying an object, eliminating a target, etc. In addition, the chapter will also state the conditions and results for full or partial victory of the chapter, as well as the results of a defeat. During the game, the pirate flag can move quickly over the adventure board. If, at any time, the pirate flag reaches the skull, players will have lost the adventure. An adventure can end with total success, partial success, or failure. In the event of losing the adventure, the players will have to replay that adventure. If they achieve a partial victory, the characters will receive prestige and gold according to what they have done in the game, and may receive their salary during the port phase in the Pirate Guild.